We will have a panel discussion specifically on smart buildings, best practices and strategies in redefining and operating sustainable and intelligent spaces. Now, we are very pleased to have Mr. Simon Lee, Director of FinTech, PropTech and ArtTech from Hong Kong Applied Science Technology Research Institute, S3, to moderate this session. Thank you, Simon. And joining on stage are our panelists, Mr. Damien Wu, Managing Director of Corporate Development, Chinachem Group, Group Investment Officer, CCG Investment Limited. Thank you. And following on, Mr. Arthur Chan, CEO, Compathnion Technology Limited. Thank you. And following on, Mr. Albert Chen, Partner and Head of NCS Hong Kong, NCS Group. Thank you very much. And I'll pass the floor to you, Mr. Simon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so this is the last panel, so I think it's between us and end of the day. So I promise one thing, we will definitely make it on time. I have a big counter in front of me, so I know exactly when I need to move on to the next question. So probably the first thing we do is quickly introduce ourselves, and we can introduce ourselves and our organization. So probably I ask Damien, you to start first.
Sure, thank you for having me. I'm Damien Wu from Chinachem. I'm the Managing Director of Corporate Development at Chinachem, and I'm also the VP of Smart City Consortium in Hong Kong as well. Thank you.
Alpha?
Thank you, Simon, and thanks for having us. That Psychodigits spent last 7 years focused in AI, applying in spatial data, and how to apply like semantic or video analytic in smart buildings. And we use AI to help the city and help the enterprise how to do things more effectively.
Okay, thank you. And then Albert?
Thank you, Simon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Albert Chan. I'm the head of NCS in Hong Kong. For those who may not be familiar with NCS, NCS is one of the largest technology service company in Asia Pacific, headquartered in Singapore. And one of our areas of specialty is IFM, which stands for Intelligent Facilities Management, and it is equivalent to smart building topic we are covering today.
Okay, so I also introduce myself. I'm Simon. So I'm from S3. As mentioned by my colleague previously, we are the largest R&D center under the Hong Kong government. So we focus in ICT. So my role is basically business development. I go and talk to people, different clients every day to see if our solution, our expertise can address the industry problem. So in that case, let me start off with a generic question. So to my panel speaker. So the first one I would like to ask everyone, probably again I'll start with Damien and everyone. How are we doing today regarding to, let's say, smart building in Hong Kong compared to our neighbor cities or countries? So Damien, can I have your view? And let's keep it high level because I want to drill down in my next few questions.
Sure, sure. Well, frankly, it's hard to compare. I think smart building in general, our understanding is it's really at its sort of early stage. There's a lot of room for improvements going on. And I guess our view is that a building is only smart if it actually caters to the specific needs of its end users. So in the past, the industry have been trying to put in a lot of technology solutions, but some of those are really just sort of general techie gadgets, if you will. But going forward, I think there's still a lot of room for very specific solutions that caters to specific needs for the end users. So there's a long way to go. There's a lot of opportunities for everyone here in the room.
And Alpha?
We are lucky to work with a few government departments in last year, and it surprised me. In some of these projects, I think we are having some cutting-edge AI solution in smart building. Like we start using LLM, semantic model, to ask the chiller performance for government. And they start to think of how to apply this to have automation, generate different content for the buildings. And after discussing and consult with different parties worldwide, I think this is a very new idea.
Okay, I definitely want to know more about the AIGC LLM later on, but I would like to ask Albert the same question. I'm sure you can give us a lot more insight because with your company, which are Singaporean based.
Yeah,
so
okay. I think we are starting to do more in Hong Kong these days. And we are trying to bring solutions from Singapore to Hong Kong, but not to say that we are behind, but it's more exchange of innovation about how we use smart building solutions for not just sustainability, which is the key topic today, but also for security and surveillance, for centralized command and control, space management, equipment maintenance, and etc. Right? So that we're facilitating a lot of exchange of innovations between the two cities.
Okay, so riding on that, I would like to carry on with Albert. A question for you is, how can the smart building solutions nowadays that you are looking into can actually address the need or the evolving needs of government sector, commercial sector, and any other industry within Hong Kong or even in Greater China or even in APAC?
Okay. So like what I like what Damien said, it's all about the value to the occupants at the end of the day, right? ESG for sure would be driving a lot of requirements in smart building and generating value along that line, which we can talk about that a little bit more later on. Secondly, I think it's about advanced security and surveillance. Right? There is increasing demand on how do we leverage on technologies like situational awareness to improve the overall security and surveillance of large facilities. I'm not just talking about single building, but large complexes with multi-buildings, like technology parks, like housing estates, even airports or transportation terminals alike. Last but not least, I think we shouldn't forget about the overall improvement of operational efficiency and resilience, right? Because adopting smart building solution would definitely improve the way you incur cost. Autonomous control and operations allow you to save quite a bit of operation costs. And using digital twin, I'm sure the other panelists would talk about would easily save maintenance costs by 25 to 30%, for example. And then, of course, utilizing data, you can adopt predictive maintenance that can further reduce the cost of maintenance or reducing the cost of inadequate or poor maintenance. Now, I talk about also the keyword of resilience. We need to make sure the facilities are uninterrupted in functionality in case of emergency. In Hong Kong, we have quite a bit of natural disasters lately, right? Or even fire. So you need to make sure you also handle disruption properly. So I think there will be increasing needs from both government sectors and enterprise about this kind of requirements on smart building solutions.
So it's one of my passionate topic because when I work in one of the area which is construction tech and prop tech, one of our aim is to ensure, if we are talking about construction, one of our aim is to ensure what is the top priority is the safety. So we did a lot of project is all related to how we can ensure our construction worker more safe. But we believe that trend will move towards buildings, even from a city perspective. So for Alpha, Albert mentioned a lot of different solution, a possible solution which we can implement. There will be a lot of AI, a lot of technology, a lot of data sources for sensor. So, for those smart building and even data set protocol. So that's a AI integrated platform which give you the holistic view help. And what's your view and how we can do that?
So what is a smart city? Smart city is putting different, you put sense from A to move it to B. So doing this way, how to do it effectively is the key. And after years, you will have a building and you put a lot of electricity there. So during this simple process, you will forecast there's a lot of database, model, people, entity, and safety compliance. How to put all this together is very complicated. And we have to resolve the security and monitor the constructor workers and together to compile with some like permit system and workflow and do things in time and save energy. It's kind of impossible to do it manually now. So AI and how to integrate this together and delegate the task to different parties is very important. And how to do automation from the reasoning and logic from the latest semantic model, I think is the key of the future.
Thank you very much. I want to go back to Albert. So we hear your solution. We also heard what Albert mentioned about the making use of a single or AI platform to help with all the various solution data sets and possible different kind of solution. I want to ask Albert regarding to the strategy. So my question is, what kind of strategy can companies employ to overcome challenges and leverage the full potential of smart building solution in a very rapidly evolving market landscape?
Well, I would summarize that in 2 points. And like what Arthur said, a centralized platform consolidating data from the various sensors, right, or cameras, or even robots onto that platform, and so that you can perform data analytics. Now, that requires you to do careful planning at the start, right? In a lot of cases, we add smart building elements only after the building is constructed, which is exceptionally difficult, right? In some cases, cabling, or you can't even find the right spots to mount your cameras, right? So you need to carefully plan about this, right? And I call this think big. You can think big, but then you can start small, right? Once you have that, plan in mind, then you can start with, let's say, some clients start with surveillance. They launch cameras, right? And then they put data onto the platform. And then later on, they add power management so that they actually tap into data from power meters and consolidate data onto the same platform. So at the end of the day, you enrich the data so that you can use AI to perform analysis on them. So that think big, start small, vertical, I think is the first strategy. Allow me to talk about the second one, yeah. Okay? The second one is, I think a lot of companies, building operators, they approach smart building as if it is an engineering project. Actually, it is not just an engineering project. You need to add digital element to it. And how do you analyze data? What kind of data we want to put together to analyze? Let me give you an example, like energy optimization. So nowadays we have HVAC system generating 60–70% of the power, right, of a building. HVAC as in heating, ventilation, air conditioning, right? Then you have space management data from your video. Actually, you can actually cross-analyze the two things, right? You know where people are, and you know how your space are being utilized in the facilities. And then using that data, you can direct HVAC to drive ventilation to areas where there is high concentration of people. So without that, you can still do some analysis, but it will be limited. So I think you need to have that data analytics and digital mindset earlier in the design, rather than only evolve them very late in the game. So I think that's the second strategy.
See, very interesting. So, Damien, now I want to ask you two different questions. So the first one, as a investment officer, for how do you actually evaluate the return on investment potential for smart building projects, particularly in terms of enhancing energy efficiency and operational performance?
Thanks for the question. Yeah, that's a question we have to answer every day when we look at the different investment proposals. Some of the investments are much easier to evaluate, like especially those for energy saving. So the amount of energy you save in terms of monetary value, then that goes directly into your investment case. But in a lot of other cases, it's actually not that direct. So here it comes to something more sort of philosophical. And I actually wear two hats in the company. I'm the CIO, and I'm also doing corporate development. So for CIO, you would imagine that, yeah, we only look at numbers. But for corporate development, you look at a longer term. So this comes to the debate, which at Chinachem, we realized that in the past, companies would say that, okay, let's first maximize our profit. And then when you have enough profit, then you carve out some of the profit to do sustainability, social good, or whatever. But today, I think the expectation from the society is different. So what we do at Chinachem is we say that unless we do good to the society, do good to the people, do good to the planet, we probably don't even qualify to talk about making profit. So, well, okay, that sounds sort of high-level philosophical, but when that translates into our day-to-day decision, that means we look at some of these investments as they are really just the mandatory cost you need to bear. So, for example, when you want to invest into solutions, just make the place safer, cleaner, healthier for your tenants. Sometimes you really can't translate them into incremental rental income or whatever. But that is the mandatory cost that you need to sort of bear today. We truly believe that unless we do good to the society, to the community, we can't even talk about profit. But then at the same time, having said that, us and many other investors these days out there, when they invest, for example, when we look at a building, do we want to buy it? One of the first questions we ask is it certified to the topmost, or at least the second topmost grade in terms of ESG? If it's not, we won't even look at it. Tenants, when they look for places, they will also ask the same question. Is this certified? Is this clean and safe for my staff? If not, they walk away. So instead of saying, okay, these investments generate so much and so much extra ROI, sometimes you should look at it as one, mandatory cost. It's your obligation. And two, it actually protects your asset. So that's how we look at it.
So I know that you guys are also recently invest or start working, invest in elderly care. So for this kind of environment, how do you think different kind of smart building solution or smart solution would able to help with the elderly within that environment? Because we do some ourselves, which I can share later on as well. But I definitely want to hear your view. Given that you now start into this elderly care space.
Sure. Yeah, I would definitely also love to hear from your experience as well. We're frankly also new in the space. We entered space about 2 years ago. Our vision is that we would we acquired a elderly care operation 2 years ago. They operate a senior home in Hong Kong, and we'd like to sort of extend their expertise to the normal residential buildings to promote this concept of aging in place, aging at home. So you can imagine there's a lot of technologies can help there. But then, having said that, without going into the specific details of each technology, what we have learned in the last 2 years too is that it's actually, at the end of the day, not the technology, but the service that the senior citizens need. So one sort of primitive example is like fall detection. There's a lot of technologies out there that would detect when a person falls on the floor, but it's far from sufficient if that solution only sort of detects, okay, someone falls, and then it beeps. That doesn't really help. Then, okay, what if then the solution sends a signal, alerts the relatives of the senior? That still probably doesn't help much, because a lot of times the kids, the relatives may be too far away to help. So it would be much more useful if the technology is integrated with some service provider that has a team of staff that can actually come to site quickly, and that team can actually provide the sort of first line help when they arrive at the spot. And you also need to even attend to nitty-gritty details of, can the team actually legally enter the premises? Right. So there's a lot of things you need to sort through, but once you do that, then this becomes a much more useful service to the senior citizen, and it also opens up a much bigger market for the technology provider as well.
Great.
I just want to add some point. I think Damien's point is very to the point that it's not about point solution. It's how you integrate this to deliver a service that the occupants really need. It's no difference from, for example, even employees of a company when they enter a building. They would like to have personalized experience, right? So they want to control the temperature, they want to control air quality, they want to control the way they use the space in a customized way. And best if the building can recognize them somehow, right? They can configure accordingly. And in particular, I like the point about a smart building is not standalone. You need to integrate with the surrounding ecosystem. Like Damien's example of someone who can come to help if an emergency situation is detected. Or in some cases, that come back to the example that I have in Singapore. Right? For example, the airport. In Singapore, we monitor the people flow. Right? When there is an exceptional peak of people flow, for example, massive delays of planes due to weather situation, we actually coordinate with the transportation operators. So a message is sent to the taxi operators to send in more taxi, or the railway operators to reorganize in real time accordingly. So when people come out, in big mass, you can still handle it. And if we look at some incidents we had in Hong Kong, we haven't had that yet. But it's something that we can learn that smart building is not standalone, it has to be integrated with external.
Totally agree. And I think that's why today we have a perfect panel members, because the combination is Albert is like a consultant and a SI, a system integrator. And then we have Alva as a solution developer. And then, of course, we have Damien, like the end user. S3, of course, we developed the core technology. So also, I want to share one example, what we have done regarding to possible solution for the elderly care, because we developed our own solution, what we call a event-based sensing solution. So therefore, without invading the privacy, we are able to predict what kind of action you are doing. So in that sense, we can do certain predictive, let's say, monitoring and prevent any accident going to happen. So this is one of the solutions that we have. So talking about the solution or technology, I want to go back to Alpha. Earlier, you mentioned about LLM. Of course, AIGC, AI generative content, is probably one of the hot topic nowadays. Can you tell us, you mentioned a bit earlier, can you tell us a bit more, how could this further utilize in smart city, in smart building, or you can give us some example, how you actually using LLM AIGC in your case.
We are very happy to share more on it because I personally think it's very interesting. The prerequisite of doing it is like Damien said, why we have AI in the first place is to save energy, how to reward to the society. So how AI generate content can help the society. And like Albert said, we must need an integrated system for that. So we help the government to do some AI generated content and a dialogue that first we generate the map or the template or the CAD file from different requests that save some resources of the society, because this tedious work need not be done by human at the very beginning, but they can fine tune it and generate the config. Optimize the config is not easy to generate. So we use LLM or semantic model to generate some repeating config or optimize the config for using the applying this smart building to different sites, because there's a lot of different buildings, venues, levels that you need to check every single parameter. So AI can help. And lastly, we can generate different compliance or rules or guidelines, because building is very complicated because a lot of people, visitors, work, and company work together. So even for one building, I think that's involved more than 100 industry here. So how to generate compliance with the PDF, with the document, and generate some immediate guidelines or point them to the correct document. This can be generated. So understand the request and generate this content to the correct audience is very interesting for us. I think we really help the overall cost saving, or help the building owner, the venue owner, have better monitor or provide better safety to every single visitor.
Okay, another very interesting point. That the reason I said that is because we do a lot of AIGC, but we apply totally differently. So we, so one of my hats is doing FinTech. So therefore, I talk to the regulator, I talk to the bank, how we can use AIGC for compliance purposes. And for your case, you actually put it into another perspective. So I think this is very interesting. I know we are running out of time, so I have one last question for you guys. I would like to ask you, probably give us some hints. How do you see the upcoming or the future trend or technologies in smart building? What do you think it will be coming? How should we be prepared? How should any organization prepare for this? So I start with Damien.
Okay, from end user point of view, I think two things we truly value. One is interoperability. There's just way too many different solutions, gadgets, devices today. They're all good, but they don't talk to each other. So for the user to be able to use them to the maximum benefit, they need to talk to each other. And more importantly, the data need to come together. So compatibility, interoperability is one. The other thing is user-friendliness. So again, especially looking at the aging population, that's a challenge on one side. But then at the same time, it's also opportunity. So if you can make the technology user-friendly, just like a fan or a TV, then the end users can really reap the benefit, and the provider can really have a much bigger market.
Okay, that's great. I think this is very insightful from a user perspective. So from Albert, so you as I think you probably can give us a lot more insight, because
I probably want to echo Damien. Right, it's probably the solution of what he just demanded. Right, But I think at the end of the day, there are a few keywords surfacing, right? One is data-driven sustainability, right? So when we talk about sustainability, you need data and analytics and using AI, right? The previous sessions, we cover a lot on power, right? But carbon footprints is not just power. It's water supply, it's waste management, it's many other things that add up to the carbon footprint. So you need an analytics engine based on data to come up with where you are with your carbon footprint and the optimization plan moving forward so that you can reduce right away. So data-driven sustainability is one keyword, right? The other keyword is, I would say, drone-assisted security, right? We talk about video analytics, but we have been testing matching video analytics onto drones or robots, or even less dramatically on wearing a body-worn camera on safety guards, right? There are technology parks that we are actually doing that, so that the video feed is sent back to the hub for analytics. So these are already available. But at the end of the day, like what we have just discussed, technology is probably not the key to the success of smart building.
Cool. So Alpha, from a solution developer perspective, you must be also looking into some emerging technologies. So can you tell us something?
So for the coming future, I think first the infrastructure is, we have to define the infrastructure because every enterprise want to keep their data on premises. But like currently a lot of AI technology or data technology have to apply API to the public cloud. So how these things work together, and AI infrastructure is a new idea. Like launching agent is very different from the traditional program, but it's still possible to master this. And how to build a data model to make it semantic, to give more value to the building. So like, can you ask the building different sensor data? First, you have to have a standard of the sensor and building, and a lot of things in standard. And application from generating this, I will call it maybe a programmable building. So you should be able to program or control the building in an easy way that currently the AI can work for it. And more important is the goal. Why we have all these things is to save energy, provide a better building, better user experience, or can keep the standard and improve in a KPI way. That's what I can foresee.
Okay, so thank you very much. For me to sum up is, what I hear is technology is important, but technology cannot be working silo. Data is very important. Security we need to look into. Of course, the service, the application, the operability of the technology is extremely important. And what I heard is also, we cannot work alone. The whole ecosystem needs to work together. So once again, thank you very much for your time. But one last thing, given that the whole ecosystem needs to work together, let me use 30 seconds to do some advertisement. S3 will be launching our own Construction Tech and PropTech Alliance, and everyone is welcome to join. We will be launching it in July. So the whole point is we want to bring everyone together regarding to PropTech, Construction Tech. So if anyone is interested, look out for our post in July. So once again, thank you very much, and let's conclude for our panel session.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simon Lee. I'm sure everyone on this stage will be happy to join this new alliance, and we'd like to group up together so that we can take a group picture a bit more in front, and please look in the middle of the floor where our cameraman will. Thank you. Yeah, as we move over.